Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for doing the Instagram poll. I did wait until you did it. At the moment, sitting at 91%, I believe, of people that wanted me to do it. A few people, 3 people said no, but I'm going to do it anyway, and you don't have to watch it. People said no. Anyway, for those that were there, they got to see me rant a little bit. I did go off on little tangents from time to time, as I tend to do when I'm a bit passionate. It was good to get some of the feedback post-conference from higher-ups or people who've got a lot more experience than I do in dietetics, thanking me for it and some of the different things that I said. And it was also good on Instagram today and late last night, saying that they really enjoyed the talk. So thank you very much. All right, so my reflection. So basically some of the stuff that I kind of missed, which I'm all right about, but not at the same time, is the stuff around Fuel Your Life in general. It was really an opportunity to tell you guys more about how well it is going. But I feel really weird about big noting ourselves a lot of the time. We have won a lot of awards and finalists for a buttload. And I really should have dug into that a little bit more because applying for those awards or getting nominated for those awards is actually a really arduous process. So they go through all of your systems, your processes, your management, future plans, all the logistics, your financials, and then put you on judgment basically against other organizations either in your field or outside of it, more importantly. So for us to be ranking nationally in these awards and to win an Australian Small Business Award for the best health improvement business is pretty freaking massive. And I probably should have went into that a bit more, but I didn't. And Peter gave me a kick in the shins for that. But also we didn't talk about Dietitian Life a lot. And if you are obviously watching this, you did the poll, you're aware of Dietitian Life, but I didn't tell anyone or didn't do a poll of the audience while I was there about if anyone had actually heard of me, heard of Dietitian Life, and watched it. So if you are watching this and you're from Dietitian Life, I would super appreciate it to tag a couple of your mates in this IGTV video just to share it with them. If it's not on IGTV, it might be on YouTube. I don't know how we're going to put it out. We'll put it out. Something else that I probably didn't talk a lot about was about myself as an individual. One of the things I like to talk about, which I've written about quite a few times, is just the perception that dietitians have to be all the same. And as much as people don't like talking about it, and I probably will get in trouble for talking about it, but being a female-dominated industry, being male puts us at a significant disadvantage for the most part, I feel. There is definite prejudice against males and how they approach different things, I believe, or in my experience. I don't think everyone's like that, obviously, but it's there. But at the same time, I don't give a shit. I'll do my own thing regardless. But I think part of my motivation is the big chip on my shoulder. Not only a result of that, but it started during my master's because I'd actually covered all tattoos. I didn't have as many tattoos as what I have now, but I'd covered them all, took out all my piercings because I had more than what I have now. Took out all my piercings and went there because I didn't want people to judge me for it. And then the first class or second class, it was anthro, so body composition assessments. So people doing skin folds. I don't know if they still do that in programs, but getting your hit off in the first couple of weeks is a nice little icebreaker. But because I'd already done the course, I was helping teach the course. So I got away with it for a little bit because I was a bit worried what people would think after I did have to take my shirt off. And eventually, because their lack of males and people wanting to do anthro on males, I had to take my shirt off, and people, including the lecturer, saw my tattoos. And seeing their face when they saw that and the comments that they made post that, I was just like, oh, great. This is going to be good. And then lo and behold, I don't know if it was a couple of weeks or a couple of months later, but being told that I would need to change and be more like everyone else if I was to be successful. That certainly hurt from someone you felt you could respect. I certainly don't respect them now whatsoever. But that chip that I was told that I need to be more like everyone else to be successful pissed me the fuck off, and only just motivated me to show them that that's bullshit. So I'm never going to be someone that tells anyone to be more like everyone else. I would be advocating for you to be more like you as much as you possibly can, because it's going to feel most natural and it's going to make you happiest. So yeah, that was part of my journey, which definitely helped. I was super motivated anyway, but that just made me want to kick someone. So that's always there. And yeah, so that was part of my journey. And I probably should have shared that, because I know other dietitians have felt similar or have been treated similarly by lecturers or other teachers that they respected, but at the same time, I'm sure by other cohorts or the same cohort. So my advice is just do you. Once you get out, fuck it. You show them. Secondly, like one of the big things, or thirdly, one of the big things that I didn't talk about was when it came down to the questions. So a Bond University lecturer, maybe course coordinator, I'm unsure, said that they do private practice business components as part of their course. That was in reply to me saying that graduates come out and got no freaking idea about private practice and have not terrible skills, but terrible skills in certain aspects of being in private practice. And unis don't well set up students for that. So it causes a lot of anxiety and depression and feelings of failure in new grads, as much as you tell them that it's normal and it's okay and we understand. Dietitians being perfectionists, they run themselves into the ground. So basically they asked, how should we change the course to better prepare students? And the thing that came to my head immediately was resilience, just because being able to be okay with failure and then to platform that into being better, and always thinking positively around how you can improve, rather than I'm shit here, I'm terrible, and then you go further and further and further down, instead of building yourself up and building those skills and being okay with learning and be okay with asking questions, be okay with saying, I can't do this, please help. So that was the one thing that I said. But other big thing that I need to add to that is the skill in marketing. So not marketing dietetics in general, or just being marketing in general. Don't talk about 5 Ps of marketing or talk about how to promote yourself on Instagram. It's about you one-on-one, firstly with a client, and being able to pitch yourself as a dietitian to a client and to get them to see you. And then secondly, pitching to an audience, say of GPs or medical professionals, to set yourself apart, not only from other health professionals, but from other dietitians. And I think that's a skill that we definitely try and teach our staff and contractors and employees about, and give them different little hints and tips to better market themselves. But it's something that comes from a lot of learning and years of experience, and like we're getting pretty good at it now, or have been good for a little while, but it's a skill that's definitely lacking in students. So if you're a student, or if you're a new grad and you're struggling with that aspect, I think reaching out to other people outside, maybe in private practice if you do want to work there, or even if you don't, you should probably do it, because no matter where you are, you're going to be in sales of your profession. So even if you're in a hospital and you're dealing with clients other than ICU where they can't say anything to you and they can't say no, even in a hospital where you're trying to sell your advice or your recommendations to a client to make sure that they do it. And that is that's dietetics. That's dietetics. So if you can't just give recommendations and expect the client to do it, because most of them won't, unless you pitch it in a way that they buy into what you're saying and that you know what you're talking about. So that comes down to sales and communication and leveraging different things. So that was probably a big one that I should have said Bond. And then I was laying in bed last night, and I'm trying to think about how would I run a course and how do I think it could be better. And this is a bit outrageous, but making dietetics pass fail. Yeah, making dietetics pass fail. So the problem with dietitians, as you all know, is that most dietitians are type A personalities. So everyone is stressing about, I need to get a HD, I need to get a HD, I need to get a HD. The issue with that is that that's all bookwork. The placement component's pretty much just pass-fail. And that's ultimately what the job is. So I think if people had the ability to have a pass-fail course, sure, you'll get people that just trace the edge of failure and whatever else and don't try. But it gives people that maybe would have got a HD if they put their bums into seats and just put their head in a textbook constantly, to just ease back a little bit, do their best with what they have, but then look outside of dietetics in terms of getting some work experience, finding out about different industries, doing some volunteer work, doing extra shit. Because the problem is that because people are so stressed about getting the best mark, they don't feel like they have enough time to go out and do work experience and things of that nature. Because a lot of people also want that social side, that work-life balance, that study-life balance. So they're not able to fit everything in. And as a result, people come out, they've got all their coursework, they've got a HD, but they can't fucking be a dietitian because they've missed the mark. And I do remember during my studies, I remember a lecturer saying, like, worry less about getting the answer right and more about the understanding of the answer. That's all well and good, but I think it should go a step further and think about the implementation of that science with a client. And I think that's really a disconnect with dietitians when they come out, is that little unlock. So that was the question from Bond, and that's a radical thing, and I don't know how it would work, but structuring maybe some of the courses in that way or some of the subjects in that way to allow dietitians to do that work experience or to facilitate it outside of placement. Yeah, I don't know, like, because placements are mostly hospital-based, and that is fine. I get it from a clinical perspective. It's really important. But given, as we know, there is very few fucking jobs for hospital dietitians. So I think, yeah, finding another way is really important. And the other thing I would do is invite a buttload of successful private practice practitioners in there of varying experiences, both working for themselves, but also working in private practice for other good bosses, would be really important as well, to give people insight about what it's actually like to be a dietitian. And I know there's a finite time with unis and all of that, but a lot of dietitians come out and they don't have any idea what a dietitian is until they get onto placement. And then they don't know if they like that. And they're like, oh shit, I don't want to work in a hospital. But they don't know what private practice is. And they think, oh, I'm going to private practice. So they start in private practice like, oh, what? This is what a dietitian is? I have to sell myself. I have to get these people to come back. I need to motivate clients. I need to counsel them. Oh, I don't like that. So yeah, there needs to be something to solve that issue. So they're my 2 cents on that. Yeah, for those of there, I don't know if I've already said this in the video, but the person that challenged me on my my picture, another person who was a uni lecturer, I believe, at Sunny Coast Uni. I have a slide that says I'm built to get punched in the mouth, turn around and say, now what, bitch? And she said that I should remove it because it was misogynistic and sexist and all of that. And I just don't see it that way. I call myself a bitch regularly. It's all about the intent, just like swearing. If you swearing as you go along, people can be okay with it. But if you swear derogatory towards someone, then that's different. So whatever about that. Okay, students. So the students that came up to me after, or new grads that came up to me after, a couple of the questions that were asked. So one was, been working for 4 months for myself in a gym, struggling to get referrals, got a few medical centers, I got exercise physiologists referring to me. How do I improve it? I'm available 2 days a week. How do I build it? I'm like, well, 2 days a week, how much work? And then 4 to 5 clients over 2 days after 4 months. And I'm like, well, you're early, because 4 months is not enough time. You need to do 12 to 18 months before you can really understand and just be banging the drum constantly. So that would be marketing to the EPs, marketing to medical centers, but understanding that it's unlikely that a medical center will continue referring constantly. It'll be ebbs and flows at different times of the year, and private practice owners or practitioners that have been in this game for a long time know there are ebbs and flows throughout the year, and sometimes you can pick it around that September, October. Things tend to go, sometimes it's earlier, June, July, and then it tends to pick up at the end of the year and the start of the new year. But it's this roller coaster. And with medical centers in particular, a lot of dietitians will end up just working in the practice, and a medical practice will refer internally before they refer out, simply because they're going to get money from it. So just be something to be aware of if you're not going to work in a medical center. That it may be harder from that perspective. And then I also said about marketing is that you've got any money in terms of reinvest it all in social media. So run Facebook ads across your location, at your target market. You do your age bracket, do your sex, do the interests, and just run at that. And you're going to take some testing. You're going to lose a bit of money initially, but if you get it right and get a couple of clients out of it, so if you spend $100 and you get 2 clients, you may have made your money back. So, and $100 should last quite a while, like given that clicks should be, you want to aim for, under $1 most of the time. And even then, sometimes people say that's too expensive. So and sometimes you can get up to $40 per lead. So there's different things. So you just got to figure that out. So that's marketing. That's another thing. And then another dietitian, another student asked me, they said, I'm just not confident in marketing. I get tied up with my words. Every time I try and call someone to try and set up a meeting, or whether it be a GP or a client or whatever, I really struggle with that. And I said, well, it's kind of a little bit blunt. I apologize if you're watching this, but maybe you're not built for business. They took it on the chin, and thank you very much for doing so. But then I just added clarity to that and just said, well, it's just practice. Like, I didn't like doing that at all. Like, still to this day, I hate phoning people. I don't like it. It's just not my thing. But I know that about myself, and I know where I can market well, and I know where I don't, and I know who I can approach. And thankfully now I've got a team of people, and different people handle different aspects. But I think it's a learned process. And when you're by yourself, you just need to rip that Band-Aid and just go hard. So fail, but improve every single time. So if you're finding yourself tying up with words, maybe you make sure that you've done a rote-learned script. If you do a rote-learned script and you come off sounding like a robot, then readjust. Go, no, I'm going to have dot points and just talk about these things, but make it come naturally. The biggest piece of advice I gave, which is probably a bit too much information, but not enough for some people, they'd probably think, but it's really, really important, is ask questions. People have no troubles talking about themselves. That'll be enough. If you don't get that, then all good. Other questions. So another one was a student who was second year. They hit me up and it's just like, all right, so my head's in the books. I'm getting decent marks, getting really good marks, but I feel like I'm disconnected from the industry. I don't really know what it's like. And this goes back to what I said earlier. And he's just like, well, how do I get work experience? And I said, go to the DAA website, go to the SDA website, go use the Find APD or Find Accredited Sports Dietitian, and hit up every single dietitian in that RefEdX in the area that you are or that you're willing to travel to, and say you'll do anything. Do that. A lot of people won't reply whatsoever. You'll never hear from them. Other people will, and it won't work out. And then there's those maybe 2 or 3 out of 100 that you go, all right, cool. Yep, I want to do that. Let's do that. And it only has to be a couple of hours a week. But if you're doing a couple of hours a week, learning a little bit about dietetics, learning a little bit about how practice works, or learning how to do social media or blogs, or you're shadowing, you're doing urine samples with a sports dietitian, fluid balances with a sports dietitian, filling supplement bags like I did. I did the weight fluid balance stuff and just getting people on scales, filling water bottles, that kind of stuff. Doing data entry for skin folds. There's a lot of mundane work, but it covers 3 things. 1, you get to see what a dietitian's like in their natural habitat. 2, you get your name out there. You get to build a reputation before you're even a dietitian. And 3, it's just going to set yourself apart from the people that aren't willing to do that extra work. And for me, like, I guess I'm a bit biased in that it's really the reason why I moved so quickly in my career is because I did a lot of that groundwork first. I skipped through straight into the sports dietitian's course before I did any clinical, because I did a year's worth or close to 2 years worth of work experience prior to even graduating my dietetics degree. So I was able to skip straight in to the sports dietitian's course. Usually you have to do 2 years of clinical experience before you can get in. So it's about knowing the right people and actually immersing yourself in it and knowing what it's like to be a dietitian, knowing what it takes, and showing a real attitude that allows other people to see that, no, they're actually going to be a good asset to this organization, to this membership base, to this accredited sports dietitian. But it's not just that, it's just any. If you want to do pediatrics, if you want to do maternity, if you want to do food intolerance, volunteering, doing a work experience, 100% the best thing you can do as a student. Not a doubt in my mind. We've got 14 people doing work experience for us. I know all their names. It's a good thing to do. We hired 3 people yesterday, pretty much. We've got to just have follow-up interviews, get the contract sorted, but pretty much 3 people in our head, 2 that have graduated, 1 graduating. So if you didn't go to the event, you missed out. If you didn't come up and talk to us, you probably missed out. But feel free to hit us up in the comments. As usual, ask as many questions as you want. We'll answer them. Yeah, that's pretty much a wrap up. After I wrap up this video, I'm sure there'll be 5 other things that I wish I talked about, but they were the main things. They were the main points where I'm like, no, I should have talked more about that. So again, if you're not following us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Snap, you should, because every little bit of leg up that you can get over your competition as a new grad or as a student or as an experienced dietitian, learning from someone who's done it at scale across many different industries is valuable. So yeah, thanks guys. Talk soon.